Welcome to the Manchester United News Channel. If you love your heart team, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any news, leave a like, and share. You are very important to the growth of the channel. Let's go to the video.
Big game. So we got the big names in the Team Talks hot seat today. Leanne Sanderson and Darren Lewis is here. I'm very happy you're back. Last week I had to run with stats. It's too tough.
Don't worry, Julia. I'm here to save you.
Thank you so much. That has got me properly hyped for the derby this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say as a Man United fan I'm hyped for it, because at this moment in time I feel like I'm a little bit concerned. I'm not going to lie. But Manchester United were on a really good run of form up until the Fulham game. The Nottingham Forest game midweek wasn't the best game, but they got the result. But I'm a bit, concerned. I think this Manchester City team, I mean, no matter what team you support, you can recognise quality.
Absolutely.
I look at this Liverpool team, the youngsters coming through and certain players, but I am a little bit concerned about this game because I have a feeling, I'm Man United, Darren, so I'm always going to back the team no matter who's playing. But regardless of Højlund not being there and the injuries, I think it's going to be a difficult one for Man United. And the way Fulham cut through the Manchester United midfield last week, Iwobi, it was easy. And the fact that, Manchester City have this array of talent that they have, De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, the list could go on. It concerns me a little bit.
We have so much to talk about, and we will get stuck into that game. Let's just remind everyone of what's coming up in match week 27 in the Premier League. The Manchester derby is on Sunday. So much more to come before then in terms of Premier League action. A host of games kicking off at 3 p.m. here in the UK, including Brentford against Chelsea, which is a derby, of course. So too is Tottenham's clash with Crystal Palace, and Luton Town against Aston Villa. A very interesting one now, given everything that's happened in the week with Everton, who take on West Ham. Sunday is that Manchester derby we've been talking about. Burnley-Bournemouth is the earlier kickoff on that day, and we end off match week 27 at Bramall Lane, where Sheffield United are at home against Arsenal. Arsenal find themselves in third position on the Premier League table. Let's give you the bigger picture, though, because Liverpool lead the way. Manchester City just a point behind them. The Gunners a further point back. Aston Villa into the top four. Tottenham and Manchester United still in that race. So too, by the way, are Brighton. Bottom half of the table is where Chelsea find themselves, but further down is where all the action has happened since the last Team Talks. Everton's points deduction reduced from 10 to 6 points, and they find themselves in 15th position now. Brentford and Nottingham Forest too close for comfort to that drop zone, where Luton have now also dropped into in 18th position. We are going to turn attention to that Manchester derby coming up on Sunday. First up is Manchester United manager Erik Ten Hag.
Is anybody who didn't feature last night coming back for this weekend? And Bruno and Varane okay after being doubtful for the game?
They fought to be part, and they came well out the game. So yeah, I think they will be available for Sunday as well. And for the rest, I don't think players will return for Sunday. So we do it with the squad from yesterday.
Casemiro's goal and his sort of passionate celebrations showed his winning mentality, despite the fact that he's won everything in the game. Is that mentality going to be important for Sunday? How important is he?
But that passion, desire, determination, that's a base. But definitely when you go in a game from Sunday.
Erik, when you look at the two squads at the moment and the players available, you've obviously had an awful lot of injury problems. You look at the form that City are in at the moment. How do you convince your players they can go to the Etihad and get a result?
Our form. We are also in a good run. And the spirit is very good. We are united. We are in togetherness now to make a good game plan. We have it done before, and against City, lately also against Liverpool. So we will prepare well. Players are ready for it. Players are looking forward to it. I can smell it when I'm around here, when I speak with the players. Really enjoyable. Looking forward, excited.
But you look at the City lineup. I mean, do you fear what they've got? Do you lose sleep over what they've got in their ranks?
Oh, they have a good team, but they have more good teams. But they have won in the last season, so there's last year everything. So we know, but that's the challenge. But also Liverpool has a very good team, and there are more. They have good teams, and we like such challenges. We're looking forward to challenge with them.
Hi Eric. So Jim Ratcliffe talked last week about in the future wanting to knock Manchester City off their perch. Is this an opportunity for your team to make a statement and to show that you're not as far away as some people think?
So I think that has nothing to do with each other. But we want to win every game. That's always our mentality. And that is always our approach in every game. And so it doesn't matter who's the opponent. But as I say, you always want to play against the best. And so most of the times we feel, and you can also see it, that when the opposition get their best outputs against Manchester United. And maybe this game is the other way around. But we know we have to give everything and show really a team performance if you want to get the result there. And but if you do it, it's possible. That is also what the opposition shows against in this moment against Manchester City.
What have you learned from your previous matches against Manchester City about the fundamentals of approaching a game against this team who are in great form?
We did it in several ways, and many ways to be successful. So from all the games, when we look back, we had the opportunity to win. We won one time, but you need a great day, and that is also what we know. So the players have to give the best performances.
Dave, you were very passionate last night in your defence of Bruno Fernandes, claiming that he'd been targeted by opponents. Do you feel that he gets enough protection from officials currently, or do you think he needs more protection in terms of the treatment he receives?
So he's a very passionate football player, and he's a very creative football player. He's creating the most chances in the Premier League. And you see opponents are targeting him, and especially after Saturday, when he had the knock, and they see it, and then I feel the referee should protect him there, and they had the chance already in the start of the game because it was so obvious that they were looking for it.
Do you think he's developed unwittingly maybe a reputation, unfair or not, for going down too easily, and sometimes referees can be influenced by that and not give fouls when he has been fouled, for example?
That is your impression.
No, I'm asking you what you think.
No, it's your impression. And I thought it was definitely on Saturday. It was a foul, and it was really some misjudged from media, from social media, to blame him for that. And that was my point yesterday. And then opponents they're targeting him, and that's not right. I think then the referee should protect him because there were fouls on him, and even after the ball was kicked away.
Okay. Did it not, in that regard, Eric, did it not help that Fulham sent out that video on their own TikTok site saying, it was obviously a derogatory comment about Fernandes on there?
Please a little bit louder. I don't hear you.
Sorry, Fulham sent a clip of that video from the game, from the Fulham game, that incident where he got injured, and obviously appeared to be mocking him over potentially diving. They felt he'd dived. Has that helped to fuel the situation? Has it drawn more attention to it? So
I didn't know this, but if they did it, I would say it's not right. And it's absolutely not right that a club makes such statement because it's totally out of order and they were wrong. So they should apologise for this.
Just in terms of his determination and professionalism, how does he rank in terms of the players that you've worked with during your time in football?
Highly, very highly. He's first of all, his football skills. He's so creative, and in that final third, creating chances. Absolutely key player, can score a goal. But then also his outputs, his contribution in defending jobs, and they're reading the situation, reading the press, but also be the example by running in the right moments. And pointing players around him. So yeah, he's absolutely a leadership by example.
We'll take one more in this section, Mickey.
If you look at the Premier League and where you sit in the Premier League this season, is this a defining weekend to know where exactly you're going to be come the end of the season?
No, because there are many more games to play, and we are in the FA Cup and in a great game. After City, there are coming many more games, and we know we have to catch up. But also after that, there's coming up more games to catch up and to catch in the right position.
We already know that Leanne is nervous about that game, especially, as she mentioned, after what happened against Fulham. It's really the blot on their Premier League record at the start of 2024, the defeats at home. And without Højlund, we'd wondered where the goals were going to come from.
Yeah, I have to wonder as well, because he has been so good in the last, 6 of the last 7 games. They were winners of those games. What worries me the most about Manchester United is defensively they are simply not good enough. I look at all of those games. I look at the opposition they played against: Luton, Nottingham Forest, Newport, an out-of-form West Ham, Aston Villa as well, who were just slightly going off the boil a little bit. And my worry is that run of form flatters them. And specifically, if you look at all of those games, they conceded in nearly all of them. And against the Manchester City side that are going to move you around, that are going to pull you out of position, this is what worries me big time. Now, listen, as you say, without Højlund, they're going to miss a lot of that bite in that attack. People talk about Marcus Rashford. I know we will in a little while, but Rashford prefers to play off the left. He's not the point man. Højlund was the point man, and without him, they lose so much. But I worry more about that back line, because there just isn't enough cohesion, organisation, leadership. You've played in sides with much more organisation than they do have at United.
Yeah, I mean, it's been like that for a long time at Manchester United. I think I'm really happy with everything that's happening off the field, with Sir Jim Ratcliffe. But I think any Manchester United fan is not getting carried away with the games you just mentioned. The Aston Villa one, I was delighted with that one because I think they've been in a decent run of form of late. It just concerns me, a lot of problems we have in our team, but the midfield, the way that teams just go through our midfield like non-existently. Casemiro, I've been a big fan of his for a number of years when he was at Real Madrid. But I just think, with regards to the players, I think someone made a really good point last week, Darren. I don't know what you think about this, that Manchester United are quite fortunate that they've been able to even compete in the top 4 with the squad that Manchester United have. Because if you look at the squad individually, we were speaking off air about, combined 11s, and I'm not sure I'd pick any of the Man United players in the entire squad to be in this City team. I don't think they'd even get anywhere near the team.
No, I don't think they would. I don't think they've got enough responsibility, leadership, movement, ability to read other people and bring other people into the play. And also, I don't see the commitment. In difficult moments, where's the leadership? That had been brought by the young players, Mainu, Garnacho, Højlund. They had been the driving force of the team, and to a certain extent they are.
That shouldn't be the case though, Darren, should it?
It should not be the case.
You think about Manchester United of old, not to keep beating that same drum. It's just like you had an array of class, talent, leaders within that team. There was 6 or 7. These players now, like Kobbie Mainoo, thank God for him. Because if he wasn't there, what would the midfield look like? McTominay, Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes, So thankfully, he's been good this season. And Garnacho, for me, I love him. He's one of my favourite players at Man United. But he should be coming off the bench. There should be someone that's leading him, mentoring him in the way that, what you see Liverpool players doing. Mentoring the younger players. These players are now mentoring themselves to a certain degree. And that's a concern for me.
What looks to me to be the case at Man United is that the Man United of the future is going to be built around those young players. It almost reminds me of the last days of the old Arsenal, where the likes of Lacazette and Xhaka and some of those players, they were coming towards the end. It was the young players who were driving them forward. Now we're seeing a similar thing at Manchester United.
There's so much happening in this team and so much, it seems, off the field, so many talking points. The big one for me, which you mentioned, is that back line. You're already concerned about it, and there are injuries as well. For me, Rasmus Højlund, we talk about him and the goals that are missing. What about Shaw and the reshuffle that's going to happen at the worst time when you face a City attack that we saw in midweek? Is just and we'll touch on it a little bit later, that's just raring to go. How do you want to see Shaw being replaced? What did you see in the FA Cup in midweek?
Well, obviously, we've seen Amrabat play there. We've seen Lindelof, Victor Lindelof, but ultimately, we didn't get Amrabat to play in the left-back position. But with regards to letting Reguilon go back and those types of things on those loan deals, they've left them, and the injuries. Luke Shaw, I like Luke Shaw. I think he's grown into himself at Man United. He's been there for nearly 10 years, you know, but the injury, he gets injured a lot. So, you know, when he starts, he comes off often at half time. So it is a concern. But I think for me, the only thing that can happen in this game is we see a freakishly poor performance from Manchester City and all of a sudden Manchester United play out of their skin. Because, you know, it could either be Man United gets absolutely steamrolled 5-0, and that sounds crazy, or it's a tight game. You never know what Manchester United are going to turn up. But my concern is the quality that Manchester City have. They're consistent. They always turn up, don't they? I mean, Phil Foden, I mentioned a couple of players at the top of the show, and he's been one of the best players in the league this year.
Yeah, we are going to talk about City, just give them a chunk of our attention. I want to look at United's record against the current top 7, though, because that leaves a lot to be desired. Only Aston Villa away from home. That's the only place they managed to get a victory. And now they've got to go to Manchester City.
I'm worried for them. I have to say, they conceded 10 goals in their last 2 games against City. And every time they step up in class, it goes back to what I was saying at the start of the show. When you look at the last 7 games, 6 of those 7 games were wins for United. And I've been on lots of shows where people say, are United turning a corner? And I've said the same thing every time.
Every time we're on a show together, I feel like we think that.
Absolutely.
I think every week we say it.
Yeah.
Every single time they step up in class, they struggle. They might scrape to a victory, last-minute victory, dig themselves out of a hole. But against the really well-organised sides, the sides that can outmaneuver them in midfield, the sides that can pull them apart at the back, the sides that can take their chances, they come unstuck. As I said before, 10 goals in the last 2 games against City. I look at this United side right now. They're a side that throws the towel in. Certainly some of the more experienced players, where you would expect that maybe from some of the younger players. And they're a side that just doesn't have the belief in the organisation to be able to overcome it when you step up in class.
Already coming through with the stats. Absolutely love it. Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola is up next. Let's hear from him.
No, we'll not be fit for this weekend. When he come back, I don't know.
Knowing him very well, does he have the kind of character, the personality to cope with this kind of setback?
Yes. Don't have another alternative. Setbacks in life is always there. It's have you, overcome.
You spoke last week about the fatigue of the players. I just wondered, have preparations this week been just merely about resting up and preparing by relaxing and getting away from...
Tuesday to Sunday is enough. It's a dream, so we'll recover well. The problem is Saturday to Tuesday with trips, that is less recovery, but the players again behave extraordinary the game against Luton. So now we have 2 days off, rest, don't see each other, 2 days to prepare the game against United.
A Manchester derby, to whet the appetite. What are you expecting from Manchester United this weekend?
Always I expect the best from our opponents, always. The best performance of them is always what I expect.
Pep, the big criticism that's levelled at Erik ten Hag from observers is that they don't understand his philosophy and the way he's asking his teams to play. Like,
I understand your question. I don't talk about opponents.
No, but I'm sure you'll have watched them. What do you see? What are you expecting from them
we'll
this
know my players. I expect the best for United, but I don't talk one word about what they do, what the opponents, because I respect too much. And I don't want to misunderstand my words, but when I have comments, always the people say, Pep Jeep, and it's never is my intention. So that's why it's better don't say anything. So I know them, and a lot of respect for institution, United, of course, Erik and the players, but when I see what we have to do, my players will know it today and tomorrow.
Speaking of your players then, Phil Foden has 4 goals in his last 3 starts against United. Erling Haaland has 5 in his last 4 starts against United. Is it just a coincidence, or is there something about them being City fans this game means more?
I don't know. I don't know what is going to happen, and I would like to know if which players score goals they will play. I'm not able. I'm a good manager, but I'm not able to see the future, to read the future, to foresee the future. So I don't know.
And one final one from me. Does this fixture in particular kind of highlight the success that you've had here? Because United were obviously the dominant force in English football for 20 years, but since you've been here, the city has been blue every single season.
18th was Liverpool, 19th was United, and now we are these many years winning 7 Premier Leagues in last decade, 11, 12 years. So yeah, we are, but it happened. So in 50 years or 60 years, there's never ever in one country, the one club dominate and control everything. So try to, in this organization, as much as possible, extend for many years what we are trying to do. That especially the consistency that prove again the game against Luton. With all respect, Rob Edwards is doing in the team, in the way they play, go in there and behave. That is that proof what we have done in these many years, and that makes me so proud.
Hi, Pep. Pep, you've been involved in a lot of derby games in Spain, in Germany, and in the Premier League. Does this game excite you as much as games have in the past, because Manchester United have not really been your biggest rivals since you've been in the Premier League?
Have been good seasons with Jose Mourinho, one season with Ole, have done second fighting, not until till the end, but they were there. So when I learned my experience in this type of games, more calm, relaxed, don't talk much about many things, just focus in tactic issue and what you have to do to beat them. Not about emotional, because emotional will be there without a doubt. So that's why I relax and prepare the game as best as possible, knowing the quality, because they are able to go in walls, like how difficult it is to beat them. Go to Luton, I know how difficult it is in the Premier League to beat them, and the quality to, in Aston Villa, go there and win weeks ago, not month, so a few weeks ago. So they have the biggest, incredible quality of that. So from one action, they create something special in set pieces, in transition, in open play, connections with a few players, and score goals. So always have been united in that way. When they play good, they win games. When they are okay, they are no stress, they are able to win games. So in this, we are in March already, 2024, they lost just one game. It was last week at home. So the consistency they proved this season is there, and especially this year. So prepare the game tactically, what you have to do to try to get 3 points and continue being up there.
Let's talk about that player you mentioned earlier on, Phil Foden. Is he playing his best football at the moment?
Yeah, and I don't think it's a coincidence that he's finally getting the run of games. He's in the team consistently. And we've seen, when David Silva was there, he was the understudy. There was talk of maybe he should have left, and Pep Guardiola was managing him, I think, in a really good way. But this season, with the injuries to Kevin De Bruyne and Jack Grealish, I think, he's had to play. And I think it's interesting because, for me, he has to play for England as well. So where does Gareth Southgate fit him in? You have to find a way to fit him in. But he's scoring goals. And what I love about Phil Foden, he loves playing football. He's a type of player that you feel like now, you would see him with a ball underneath his arm walking down the street still with it. You can see he loves the game, and it oozes from him. Like, even after the game's finished, you feel like he still wants to carry on. And you feel that from him. I don't think there's many footballers in and around the modern game now that has that same quality, that class. And I mean, he's surrounded by great players, but he's really stepping up this season, and I'm really happy for him.
Yeah, those numbers there tell the story. 16 goal involvements so far this season is his joint best, and he's not done just yet. Thoughts on Phil Foden and how influential he's been this season?
He's a player, I don't think I've seen a better player at nurturing the ball, progressing the ball, dribbling past opponents, retaining that balance as he does that. And I agree with you, he's nailed on to play for England if he retains his form up into the European Championship. But against sides that don't have the organisation that you need to play a City, he's particularly good. He's an outstanding player, and I cannot see right now a City forward line without him.
And because he can play in so many different positions, I think it was almost like, because he's so good playing on the left, playing in the 10, even when they ask him. Personally, I like him in the 10. Personally, but that's why I like him.
Well, then you've got to understand it between De Bruyne and Haaland.
Yeah, but Pep finds a way. For England, you've got Jude Bellingham as well. So, but you have to find a way to fit them all in. And I think, with Phil Foden, he's good. but I think he's great when he plays in certain positions where he's able to get on the ball more. And I think you're right. Like, once he gets going, the way he takes the ball on the run, the balance, the finesse of the passing, you know, I just love watching him.
Let me have one more very quickly. Right. So you've got Rashford, Foden, Bellingham and Saka. And you've got Kane, obviously, up front for England. Who misses out?
Rashford. That's a no-brainer.
If he hits form, even if he hits form.
No, I mean, I can't see that happening, Darren, sorry. If he hits form, that's another conversation. But right now, like, Rashford all day long.
You know, I could just go home and you guys can just check up. What did I come into work for? Here's a question for you. How ominous is it that Kevin De Bruyne and Erling Haaland combined in midweek in the FA Cup? De Bruyne setting up 4 of Haaland's 5 goals, and they are just coming back to form. They're just coming back into the team. They're just rearing to go in the final stretch now of the season.
I mean, for me, Kevin De Bruyne is probably the best midfielder in the world. Like, genuinely, I feel that when I watch him, and I know that's a bold statement to make, but I think he can do everything. I think the team do miss him when he's not playing, but it doesn't seem like they do because they seem to still get results. But Erling Haaland, I mean, some people question him, and I'm like, how stupid can you be to question this guy? Like, you're going to miss chances. You're going to be a bit rusty. And he's not superhuman as much as we believe he is. You are going to miss games through injury. When you're playing at that high, intense level for so long, you are going to have to miss out. But 5 goals, I mean, midweek, come on. Like, and the way that it's the runs as well. I saw some analysis they were showing, like, Kevin De Bruyne knows that Haaland's going to make that run. And he's like, you know, he does get offside, but that's okay because it's used to do with the timing. Kevin De Bruyne doesn't even have to look. And Kevin De Bruyne is good at that. You know, peripheral vision, the passing, not even having to look. But a player like Haaland scores different types of goals. And you can always rely upon him. And I feel like sometimes last year people are like, oh, is Haaland the problem? Problem? I mean, I just think this guy's a joke. I do. I just think Haaland.
A great problem to have.
Yeah, like, he's unbelievable.
Yeah. The last time they played at the Etihad, we saw 9 goals. Do you think we're going to get something similar this time?
Yeah, I do. And I think most of them will be scored by Manchester City.
Nah, to be fair,
I know predictions are coming at the end, but...
Well, listen, I just think the thing about the 2 of them that strikes me is neither of them are fully fit yet.
Yeah.
And so they're not full, and you can talk more to that than me. But I think as far as De Bruyne is concerned, you can tell he's hungry to get back to where he was. And when you look at how experienced he is, that's quite something. As far as Haaland is concerned, he scored 5 in midweek, and yet he's still not where he can be. And I think against a really disorganised defence, I think we might have to watch this one.
Thank you all for watching. Subscribe to the channel to not miss anything. Leave your like and your comment. That is very important for the channel growth. Until the next video.